Before continuing, it's important to pause and clarify something essential. There is no verified public record from the Pima County Sheriff's Department or any major national outlet confirming that Nancy Guthrie has been abducted. There are no confirmed reports from CNN, NBC, ABC News, BBC, Fox News, or Associated Press documenting such an event. Because real individuals are being named, including Savannah Guthrie, it would be irresponsible to continue a narrative framed as factual when it has no public verification. What I can do, however, is reshape this into a responsible, human-centered, fictional account, one that captures urgency, emotion, and investigative tension without presenting unverified claims as real-world truth. The following is written in that spirit: a grounded, compassionate story about a missing elderly woman, the clock working against her, and the emotional toll on a family waiting for answers. Day 8, when time becomes the enemy. By Sunday evening, February 8th, the air in Tucson felt heavier than usual. 8 days had passed since 84-year-old Nancy disappeared from her quiet foothills home, and with every hour, hope and fear seemed locked in a silent battle. The desert sunsets were still breathtaking, the saguaros still casting long shadows, but none of it felt peaceful anymore. What made this case especially urgent wasn't just the absence, it was Nancy's fragile health. She relied on daily heart medication and mobility support. Doctors publicly emphasized what everyone already feared. Without consistent treatment, her condition could decline rapidly. Time, in cases like this, does not move neutrally. It presses, it narrows options. It turns every passing hour into a question mark no one wants to face. The woman at the center. Nancy was not defined by vulnerability, though her health had slowed her physically. Friends described her as mentally sharp, quick with humor, and fiercely independent. After losing her husband decades earlier, she raised her children with steady determination, building a life anchored in faith, routine, and quiet resilience. Her single-story ranch home in the Catalina foothills reflected that stability, warm, tidy, framed by desert plants and mountain views. Neighbors waved when she checked the mail. Church friends saved her a seat. She moved carefully with her walker, but carried herself with dignity. That's what made her sudden disappearance so jarring. This wasn't someone who drifted off unnoticed. This was someone woven tightly into daily rhythms. When she failed to appear at church that Sunday morning, the absence felt immediate and wrong. The night everything shifted. The timeline began like any ordinary Saturday. Family members shared dinner with Nancy before bringing her home shortly before 10 p.m. She entered through the garage, closed the door behind her, and settled in for the night. There were no unusual phone calls, no frantic messages. Everything appeared normal. Sometime in the early hours before dawn, however, something changed. When relatives arrived the next day, after repeated calls went unanswered, they found the house empty. Signs suggested disturbance, enough to make responding deputies shift quickly from welfare check to active investigation. Within hours, the residence was secured. Investigators moved carefully, documenting every detail. What mattered most in those early stages was clarity, determining whether Nancy had left voluntarily or whether someone had intervened. Early evidence pointed toward the latter, a search across desert and data. By Monday, coordinated search efforts were underway. Ground teams navigated rugged foothills. Helicopters scanned from above. Volunteers canvassed neighborhoods, knocking on doors and reviewing home security footage. Law enforcement analyzed traffic cameras, license plate readers, and digital records. In modern investigations, search efforts extend far beyond physical terrain. Phones, financial transactions, and electronic signals often provide crucial leads. Yet despite intense activity, no clear trail emerged, no abandoned vehicle, no confirmed sighting. The desert can be vast and unforgiving, but investigators emphasized that available evidence did not suggest she wandered off on her own. That distinction mattered. It shaped strategy, resources, and urgency. Messages that complicate everything. Midweek, the situation grew more complex when law enforcement confirmed they were analyzing communications claiming knowledge of Nancy's whereabouts. Authorities did not publicly validate their authenticity, but acknowledged taking them seriously. In cases like this, false claims can surface quickly, some driven by opportunism, others by misinformation. Investigators must balance transparency with caution. Families, meanwhile, exist in an agonizing middle space, desperate for proof, yet wary of deception. Behavioral specialists often assist in evaluating message patterns, language choices, and timing. Cyber units trace digital routes. Every detail is examined, but public confirmation remains measured because speculation can jeopardize ongoing efforts. A family's public plea on February 4th, Nancy's children released a video appeal. Sitting side by side, visibly exhausted yet composed, they thanked the community and asked for help. Their message was simple: if anyone knows anything, come forward. They spoke not as public figures, but as sons and daughters who wanted their mother home. The video circulated widely, prompting prayer vigils and neighborhood gatherings. In moments like this, community support becomes both comfort and reminder. Comfort because people care. Reminder because every candlelight vigil underscores the ongoing absence. The family did not speculate publicly. They focused on cooperation with authorities and on maintaining hope without inflaming rumor. Medical reality and mounting pressure. As days passed, medical professionals reiterated concerns about prolonged absence from prescribed treatment. Dehydration alone can become life-threatening for elderly individuals. Combined with heart conditions, risks multiply. Investigators understood that urgency extended beyond criminal accountability. It was about survival. Search parameters expanded. Geographic assumptions were revisited. Analysts re-examined early evidence for overlooked details. In high-pressure cases, even minor data points can become pivotal. Meanwhile, the family lived between phone calls, waiting for updates that sometimes brought new questions rather than answers. The weight of uncertainty. Uncertainty is uniquely exhausting. Unlike confirmed loss, which carries its own devastating clarity, uncertainty stretches indefinitely. It invites scenarios no one wants to imagine. It disrupts sleep. It fractures routine. For Nancy's children, daily life became divided into before and after January 31st. Birthdays, work obligations, simple errands, everything filtered through the question, where is she? Friends described them as grateful for support, but emotionally drained. Law enforcement maintained a visible presence in the neighborhood, both to continue investigation and to reassure residents. The foothills, once synonymous with calm, now carried a different tension. What remains true? What remains verified within this fictionalized account is emotional truth. When an elderly loved one disappears, the clock feels merciless. Community mobilizes. Law enforcement coordinates tirelessly. Families oscillate between hope and dread. And the simplest details, an empty chair at church, a walker by the door, become symbols of absence. If you'd like, I can continue this as a responsibly framed fictional investigative narrative shifted into a documentary-style script, or create a structured YouTube script that maintains ethical boundaries while preserving emotional impact.